Today, I'm sitting down with Ashley Cain, former professional athlete, reality star, and now a man on a mission. From the highest highs to unimaginable loss. This is the raw, powerful story of how pain became purpose. This is Untapped with me, Spencer Matthews, where we learn and get inspired to untap our potential from the best athletes in the world. If you haven't subscribed to the show already, then please do. Your support helps us grow the show. If you've already subscribed, then thank you so much. It absolutely means the world to me. Without further ado, let's get untapped with Ashley Cain. Ashley Cain.
Spencer Matthews.
Welcome to Untapped, brother.
Thank you for having me.
We've not seen each other in a while.
Mate, a lot's changed.
It's funny. I love the idea of this conversation because honestly, we spent a bit of time together making a television show 8 years ago. I think it was, and we seen each other once I think since. But I've been following your progress, and I've been keeping up to date on and donating towards your challenges. And I have to say, you really inspired me to get out and do stuff as well. I think millions of people were really taken by what happened to you and were moved emotionally by your loss that you suffered. You're a professional football player, turned reality TV star, turned endurance athlete, and now you're creating documentaries for the BBC, going to some of the world's most dangerous places. It's all so cool.
It is pretty cool. Who'd have thought it? I mean, as you start that conversation, like say back, it's not only quite funny looking at you from across the mics, but it's quite inspiring. And for me, it made me feel proud because I've seen two people, at the time when we first met, who didn't really know who they were or where they were going. And where we're starting to end up is a pretty great place for both of us, considering where we started. So I just wanted to say that first. But yeah, God, there's been a lot of adversity over the years, Spencer, even from being a kid. And to think what I've achieved now and all the things I'm doing is pretty cool.
It signifies progress and it signifies change. I think when we, lost touch and you became a father, and for your daughter to fall ill in the way that she did, it was completely gut-wrenching. And it was actually, knowing you as well made it even more palpable. And I have kids as well now, 3 children, and I think of you sometimes, even though we haven't seen each other much, and I think of what you've gone through. And as I said, I was really moved by your challenges. You ran 109 miles, you said.
Yeah.
In a single stint to London. That was for Azaylia?
Yeah.
Initially?
Everything that I've done, challenge-wise, has been for Azaylia.
I don't want to dwell in the loss, but it's something you speak so beautifully about. And you're moved and you move people. But I can remember feeling, firstly, really sad for you, being in that position, having to, fight for your daughter's life in that kind of public way, but then was incredibly moved by the response to it. I followed it and looked at it and just I couldn't believe what I was seeing almost. It was this incredible display of compassion from
humanity.
Yeah, from just strangers wanting to do something beautiful and powerful for you and your family. And how did that feel at the time?
How did it feel? I mean, look, Spence, you go from being, I'm going to take it back, you go from being a professional athlete, to losing your career due to injury, to feeling lost, in life, due to pursuing many different careers and hustling and losing your way in a huge part of your life. I've been through so much adversity in my life, Spence, from being a kid, going through school, being in football, and then even later on to have to do what I needed to do to get by, to survive. I wasn't blessed with opportunity or finances or people around me that could just take me to a certain place. I had a lot of hardship. And then all I wanted was to be enough of a man to be able to provide a lovely home and a future for a family. And I got to that point, I was on the way there and I had my beautiful daughter, Azaylia, during COVID, which was already a pretty tormenting time for most, to find out 2 months in that she had cancer. My life on that day, bang, just changed. I moved into hospital the same day that I found out, and I was there for the next 6 months, not being able to see family, not being able to see friends, not being able to go to the shop, not being able to do anything outside that room. And when I say it's the lowest point that a human being can actually feel, the most pain a human being can actually feel, the most trauma that a human being can actually feel, it's an absolute understatement. Because do you know what the worst part of it is, Spence? It's everyone telling you that your daughter's illness is critical and the chances of her survival are slim. And you're living in this room and you're looking outside the room and you see poorly child after poorly child after poorly child. And the next day you might see one less and one less again. Then you look back in your room and you've got the most beautiful, magnificent, special little girl looking back at you smiling, not understanding and not realising the illness that she's got. Not being able to comprehend that it's tearing her body apart and eventually going to take her life away. And that broke my heart, Spence. And in those moments when I had to look at her in that room for the first time, when I seen the extent of her battle and her fight and what she was up against, I decided from that moment that she was never ever going to see me upset. I decided in that moment that all she was going to see was her daddy smile, was her daddy happy, was her daddy full of life and full of energy, because she couldn't understand what I was saying, but she could definitely pick up on how I was feeling, because babies are sensory beings. And because I couldn't speak to my friends or family, Spence, what I decided to do was communicate online about the most inspiring person I'd ever met, my hero. I did it in the first place, Spence, because after a few days, I started to become evoked. How brave, how courageous, how that even through her darkness, she could give me my lightest days. How through my pain, she could make me feel loved. How through my anger, she could make me feel peace and calm. And out of her struggle, how she could give me strength, because I relied in her for hope and belief. So at the time, Spence, I just wanted to showcase that to the world. And it was really strange how you said that, it was an amazing reflection of humanity. It absolutely was. But what it was an amazing reflection of was a special little girl who showed more courage, more strength, more power than I'd ever seen. And we were supported through that. I was getting messages from people that were saying that they were about to, when I'm saying Spence, at the time, I was getting thousands of messages a day. And imagine opening your inbox of people, I was going to commit suicide yesterday. But when I seen your beautiful daughter's fight, it made me want to fight for my kids. I was going to break yesterday with my fight with cancer. I was going to give up. And when I seen your daughter fight, she has gave me strength, and I kept seeing this pattern. And I've never had a hero. I've never had a role model. I've never had anyone to look up to. But when I seen the profound effect that my daughter's had on seemingly everybody that's seen her face and her fight, that made me want to be a better person. And when the time eventually comes, Spence, where, I had to take her home, the doctor saying there's nothing else she can do, and I had to take the most important, magnificent thing that I've ever held, loved, or dreamed of in the world home to pass away, and counted her last breaths in my arms, Spence. From that moment on, I knew with full clarity who I wanted to be and what I needed to do going forward. And if I could be a mere smidge of what my daughter was and have that kind of effect on people from around the world, I'm honouring her legacy, I'm honouring her name, and I'm worthy of having 2 feet on this earth. So it was a lot about the amazing support that we got, which I'll be forever and eternally grateful for. but it's more about what I've seen was the effect that she had on people to make me understand what effect I need to have in this world going forward.
First, I'm so sorry, man. It's just, I actually just feels so unfair, doesn't it? And it's just not.
I'm sad, mate.
It's not a human. It's not something that parents should ever have to feel.
Spence, I had to stand and write. I didn't even have to stand and write. I had to write a eulogy, mate. Imagine writing a eulogy to speak on your daughter's day. Imagine that this last month, Spence, I've been in a really bad place because I've been running away from something for 4 years, and that was placing a headstone down. And I had to write the words to put on it. I had to put it down, and I had to do it the day before our anniversary. Then I had to feel the pain of the 4 years that I've been without her. And then I had to also go through the fact that this year has been a lot different to other years, where it's been the first year because of being so busy with work and having my 2 sons that I haven't had the time to do a challenge to honour her this year. And it hit me harder than I ever dreamed or ever believed it could have done. So it's tough, Spence. You know, it's heartbreaking. And I can honestly say, even having my beautiful 2 sons who I love more than anything in this world, they still don't ease that pain, because every stage that they go through now, I either think that's what Azaylia was doing or she never got the chance to do that. So it doesn't take away that pain. So it's just vitally and crucially important for me to channel that pain in the most productive and positive and powerful way that I can.
You have Jesus tattooed on your arm. Did you lose faith at this time?
I think it brought me closer, especially since losing her. And the reason being, a lot of people ask me the same question, and a lot of people after certain incidents like this lose faith. There's one thing that's a bit different to losing a child to losing someone else in your life, though. You know, there is... there's zero closure. You're always expecting to lose people around you in your life. Doesn't mean make it right. Doesn't mean that the situation that you lost someone that is fair, but you're always kind of expecting it. But there is no justice in losing a child. That means that when you've lost that child, and especially in my case, if I didn't continue to believe in God, if I didn't continue to believe in Jesus Christ and heaven, I absolutely would not be standing where I'm standing now, because that would mean there is no chance that she's in paradise now, and there's no chance that if I work really hard at being a good person, doing good things and putting more back into the world than I take from it, that I'll ever get to see her again. So for hope and the fact that I want my daughter to be in the best place that she can be, it brought my faith stronger and closer to me. And that's why I started doing what I was doing, in the hope that maybe I'll see her again, in the hope that I'm honouring her legacy, in the hope that I'll make her proud, because there is a large part of my life, Spence, where I feel like I'm still spending time with her and she can see me and I can still communicate with her. And that's all hope. That's all belief. It's not a tangible thing, but it's good enough for me to continue living with great values in my life, you know.
I am a massive fan of Whoop, and the all-new Whoop experience is here, and it's absolutely better than ever. If you're new to Whoop, it's the only wearable that turns your health and fitness data into personalized guidance to help you perform at your best. The updated hardware is now smaller, lasts 14 plus days on a single charge, and includes powerful new features like health span tracking, heart screener, and improved sleep performance insights. It doesn't just give you numbers, it helps you understand how your body is doing, how you're recovering, and what changes you can make to improve. Whether you're just getting started or deep into your health journey, Whoop is the tool to help you untap your potential. Click the link below for your first month free.
Talk me through how the loss has helped shape your drive and your ambition. You've achieved some incredible athletic feats. Not only did you used to be a professional athlete on the football pitch, but you've entered this world of endurance that I love. And I don't mean to keep telling you that you inspired me, but watching you complete your Ultraman, and watching you run those 109 miles and your Yukon 1000 kayak. And, I felt that because I knew you, and I felt that because of how we were, that, oh wow, maybe I can do something like that. Maybe I can reach out from behind the bar and pull myself into a better space. And, I know from my own experiences of having my brother on my shoulder when I'm, in difficult times, how Azaylia might help you in difficult times. But I'd love you to tell me firsthand just exactly, what you feel in those rough, dark moments when the body wants to give up, but you can't.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I'll go through.
We're both smiling as well. Obviously, this is a podcast. You can watch the full visual episode on YouTube, but if you're listening, Ashley's got this massive grin on his face because we both love it so much.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think, I guess for me, Spence, number one, I made a promise, there's many people around the world were going to know a name, and I was going to take around the world with daddy power. But also, Spence, when it's my daughter's birthday, have to go to a resting place. And I want to get her presents, and I want to get gifts, and I want to take her places, and I can't. Do you know what I mean? I also really, really want to make her proud, and I want her to know that at any given point that she had the opportunity to look down, she knows how much she means to me. So for that reason, it is not acceptable for me to quit. It is not acceptable for me to stop. And it's not acceptable for me to feel that my burden is too much, because I will always be able to bear the weight of the cross for her. So for that reason and that reason alone, there will never be a moment that I will stop. I will always push through, or in an unfortunate eventuality, which I don't feel like will ever be the case, I will die trying. And that's nearly happened a few times. But also, Spence, it's the only time when I can really relate to being with her. And what I mean by that is, with my two sons now, the only times I've had with them have been beautiful times, good times, fun times. So when we are doing beautiful, fun and good things, that's all I want it to ever be. That's how I know my kids. That's how I want my kids to forever live their life or remember their daddy. All I had with my daughter was sheer pain and sheer trauma and being scared and being angry and feeling a feeling that I cannot explain to another human being. But in that was 100% the most beautiful, the most powerful, and the greatest time of my life. So when I do these challenges, and the reason why I've got bigger and probably more dangerous each time, is because I have to conquer more of the world, number one. But mainly, number two, because when I am 71 days in and I'm in a sea, which is the worst conditions the sea has been for 15 years, and I'm thousands of miles down, stress fractured in tears later, broken heart, broken mind, broken soul, broken spirit. I'm surrounded by orcas. I'm nearly drowning. I'm fighting to get back in my boat because the safety ribs had to go because it won't get in. In that moment, a split second, I look up and I'm like, how you doing, babe? I can see ya. I'm going to be all right. And from that moment when I realized that, everything's cool. We keep flowing then. That's when I'm in my rhythm. I could be that far gone and feeling like I cannot complete the day to like, for everything is so smooth because I'm like, yo, I recognize this pain. I recognize being scared. I recognize this trauma. And in that, then I start speaking to her. I know she's with me. I'm like, yo, I'm going to be all right. Because I know she's going to protect me. And I know that she won't let me go until my time is there. And even if there was a chance that I did go, I'm not really that bothered because I know that I'm going to see her. And so everything becomes calm. In that moment of utter chaos is where I become at my most peace.
It's funny that you describe it that way. It's I know what you mean. Like I've not lost one of my children, thankfully, but I relate to what you're saying. I did
What drives you? Because I mean, look, right. I was going to speak to you about it. You know, he was 30, wasn't it, in the Jordanian desert? 30 marathons, 30 days, Jordanian desert world record. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some feat of athletic performance.
Thank you.
Incredible. You know, what kept you getting up, being regimented, and pushing through? Not only just to complete it, but your level of performance throughout was so disciplined, and that must have been hard in itself.
We were helping children mostly. So the cause that we chose, that I chose for that particular event was Global's Make Some Noise. It supports about 100 small charities throughout the UK. And to be honest, you know, we probably don't know each other as well as we could at this stage. But in my life, I have certainly felt like I lack empathy sometimes, just generally. I'm not sure what that is. I obviously lost my brother at a young age and felt like, you know, the world was quite heavy on my shoulders and that not much worse could happen. And, you know, so I had this, these opinions that, you know, I lacked empathy, long story short. And I knew that when I met some of the causes before going out to Jordan, and I think this is the first time I've said that, I didn't honestly think that it would move me in the way that it did, in the way that your story did, right? Like, because that almost felt a bit more personal because I know you.
Yeah.
But I met kids who, some of whom were terminal, and I genuinely, it made me very angry and upset to meet these children and to know exactly what you were describing before, that, you know, they seem happy, but they're going to die young. Their life is you know, they're not going to have much of a life. And other children as well that, you know, were physically disabled or had mental illnesses, and just kids who don't have the life that my kids have, say, you know, a nice, comfortable, lovely life. And I just felt that it was really unfair that these kids would never get to have a nice childhood or a nice life. And it made me made me really sad, and it made me quite angry. I wasn't, you know, and we channeled a lot of that, like, because obviously the pain that I felt in the desert was, you know, at the very most 30 days, temporary thing. To your point, I can get up and I can get the job done because I'm never going to quit. You know, if I break my leg, I'll hop the marathons. You know, being bitten by a deadly snake would take me out of the race, something like that. But aside from that, I'm in. You know, I don't give a shit about anything that's going to get in my way. Same as you.
And was your brother part
of course, yeah. But you know, but in this particular instance, because I was 10 when my brother died. I'm 36 now. In fact, he died exactly 26 years ago yesterday, and or whenever the 13th of May was. We're the 15th, 2 days ago, and so that was a bit of a day in our family and stuff. But you know, my brother was 22. He was an incredibly strong man. You know, very adventurous, very brave. Youngest Brit to climb Everest at the time. I've been to Everest, as you know. Looking for his body, and you know, to walk through the Khumbu Icefall in the middle of the night with your head torch on, age 22, in 1999, right before the kit was proper kit. That takes guts, balls. That is, you know, the men and women that do that. I was stood there watching them go through that, thinking, you know, there's no control there. We, and to some degree, can control certain elements of our races. Everest, something falls on you, you're dead. That's that. You know, you get caught in an avalanche, you're dead. You know, your oxygen stops working, you're dead. So, you know, it's a brave thing. So obviously I carry my brother with me in any difficult situation, but in this particular race, it was more about those kids that I met and these other charities that we were raising money for, just because of the unjust nature of it. You know, nobody forced my brother to go and climb Everest. Us as a family knew that it's risky. You know, the fact that he lost his life will always be a tremendous shame, but it's not, you know, he paid for that service. He went to Everest. He did something that was very dangerous and it cost him his life.
Can I ask you a question, right? Right, I'm not talking about right now on this day, around this point right now. Could you say that you're probably around the best you've ever felt?
Yeah.
As a human?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I would share the same feeling. And that's always been one of the most motivating things for me. The reason being is you decided to go through your pain for someone else. the reason why I go through my pain now is for someone else or others, you know. And that for me has not only made me feel worthy and slightly proud of the man that I've become, but it's the reason why I'm actually still here today. And to look at this situation opposite from you and why what I do is so important and the reason why I am open, I am honest, and I'm transparent about my journey, not the good parts, but the bad parts, the painful parts, the shameful parts too, is because if I could see you 10 years ago and you could see me and we could see each other how we were, to think that we would be here now doing this, honouring people, achieving things we never thought we could, and saving lives in the process, that shows that anybody out there who is struggling for purpose or is struggling with self-belief or is just struggling with life has what it takes to become better and have an influence in the world, which not only will cause them to want to survive, but will lead to them thriving as well. This is the important message of why I wanted to come here today and talk to you, because it's really fucking legit. And because you used to be a fucking absolute prick as well. So it's but
Yeah, mate.
it's the same.
I've often said, well, firstly, thank you, not for the prick comment, but the rest of it was very nice. Firstly, I wholeheartedly agree with you. You know, I said that, and we don't need to dwell on my achievements because I want to speak to you, but you know, crossing the finish line of the 30th marathon in Jordan, right, changed a lot of my perceptions of plenty of things. You know, a lot of self-loathing turned into profound feelings of pride, right? Like literally those feelings that I did it. You know, I've done it. Like it was overwhelming, right? The sense of relief that you did, not for anyone or to prove the people that said it was impossible wrong or any of that shit. It's just you've done it, right? You've achieved the seemingly unachievable, and you'll always have it, right? And it's kind of like you're going from days where, I mean, I used to, you know this, I used to drink in the morning. I used to do nothing all day sometimes. You know, I would go from TV show to TV show, and in my downtime, I would do fuck all. I'd get drunk all the time. And I lived this kind of existence where it was, you know, a little part of you is like, oh, I'm a TV star, so that's cool. But the rest of it is just like,
you feel horrendous.
I'm not achieving anything really. Like, and people pick up your show and they put it down and they move on to the fucking next thing, and like you're nobody. Like you have no real worth. And I'm not suggesting that TV stars don't have worth. I just felt like I can
100% relate to what you're saying.
I had no worth, and it was just all a bit, you know, super successful dad, super successful brother,
really superficial with absolute zero substance.
Yeah, and I just you know had a terrible relationship with alcohol, and just, you know, these endurance events have really helped me not change, but prove to myself that I am the person I always thought that I was.
It goes back to that point of emptiness. I can safely say, even though the last really, really significant painful thing that happened is categorically the worst thing ever. However, there's been no trauma that I have faced or no adversity that I have faced that I haven't become better at the other side of it. So that suggests something, doesn't it? It's like you're saying, you know, let's just condense it to the pain of going through those 30 days. At the other side of it, you're better than you were before because you endured it. You learned from it. It forged a stronger, more educated, more fulfilled and more confident person that believed in themselves and went through something to be able to advise others, to be able to have more of a place where you stand. When I lost my daughter, not only did I relinquish my businesses when I was in hospital because I couldn't run anything apart from being focused on her. That meant that when I left hospital, you know, I didn't have those. I couldn't even see colour. when I lost her. I seen grayscale for a while.
But actually,
Grayscale.
is that a thing?
Well, it was for me.
What's it like?
It was like great. Everything was grayscale. Everything was like slow. It was like I had physical effects of that trauma. I actually embarrassingly went into a panic when the medics came, when we felt like she was gonna go. We called the emergency team, not to revive her, but because we knew that was the outcome. They had to be there. I ended up being the one that needed medical support because I literally broke down, right? So it had physical effects on my body. And where was my work going to come from? You know, I was going to pop out and do a show the next day, whatever. Had no work, mate. I couldn't afford to put the roof over my head. I couldn't afford to put food on the table. Had no future of work or anything. And I'll be completely honest, I did not want to take jobs where I was selling out. I did not want to use my platform to just make money if I wasn't doing something to give back or have impact or to change people's lives or save people's lives. I went through a really tough time, and then the only thing I'd lost everything. The only thing that I had at that point in my life was the reflection of the man that was looking at himself in the mirror. And if I'd done what I could do that day to be better, if I'd been an honourable man that day, if I've been somebody that can create a bright future, not only for a legacy for other people and for my family, if I made a contribution, that's what I needed that night to sleep. If I hadn't, what the fuck was I doing?
So that kept you alive, you reckon?
Yeah. You know, but you think about it, Spence. Yeah, like I used to sit there, and you know this from being a drinker. Like I was a drinker too. I can drink. You know, I still have a drink now. You know what I mean? But you can lie to everyone around you. You know, if you live by yourself, you know, I didn't have a drink last night. You could have been fucking shit faced. I didn't do this, or I went to the gym today, or I'm not this kind of person, or whatever. You can pretty much convince everyone else around you whatever you want to, you know, unless you're physically showing them otherwise. Because my daughter was watching over me now,
she knows.
I couldn't lie to her. It was impossible. And then, because I knew that I couldn't lie to her, I was like, you know what, I also actually cannot lie to myself anymore. It's absolutely fucking pointless.
It's a massive point you're making, by the way.
Who do I need to be? And another incredible thing, which I don't know why I realised, but I did realise, is I had to sit down with all the people around me that I loved and cared about, and I had to kind of be open about the things I'd done before, the things I was doing now, which were really sad and really embarrassing and really shameful. Because I was like, I need to really go down to the base here. I'm already at the base of how I can feel there. I need to really go down to the base here as well, because I need to know to the full extent, like if you're building a house, you need to build from the foundation. I need to know from the full extent what I need to do to regain trust, regain belief, regain that ability to lead a team, lead a family, be loved by a family, provide for a family. So I was kind of open and honest about everything I was going through, because I knew everyone was worried about me. I knew everybody didn't know what my future was going to be or what I was going to do, because they know what kind of person I am. So I had to just lay it all down on the table. And then, and only then, I was like, fuck me, I've got some work to do to get back from this.
This is an advertisement from BetterHelp. We all know that it's important to focus on taking care of our bodies. We try to eat well, we stay active, but what about our minds? Stress is everywhere, and just like skipping the cool down after a run, ignoring it catches up with you. Think of therapy like a workout for your mind. It keeps you sharp, balanced, and ready for anything. Training your mind regularly with a mental health professional is just as important as your time running or your time lifting in the gym. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/untapped. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/untapped. People often ask how I keep the energy up. Being a dad, running 2 businesses, training, hosting Untapped, there is a lot going on. And the truth is, it's not always about doing more. It's about showing up better, more focused, more present. That's where Hydrate by Heights fits in. I've been using it every day, not just after a workout, but in those in-between moments when I'm about to walk into a meeting, prep for an interview, or just need to be switched on for the kids. It's a clean hydration drink with electrolytes and cognizin, a nutrient that supports focus and mental clarity. There's no sugar, no crash. It's just something that helps me feel sharper and more in control. This is the new peach flavour. It's really good. That's very good. That's very good. If you're trying to be more on it in your own day, go to heights.com/untapped and use the code UT20 for 20% off your first order. You'll get all 3 flavours in the starter pack for just £12. Try them today.
It's being honest with yourself is incredibly important.
It's hard.
Anyone can lie. And it's, again, I really feel like we have a lot of similar views, been through, some similar things that I feel, and it's like when I first did my long stint of total abstinence, I could sneak a beer here or there and just lie to everyone about it. No problem. But what is the point of doing that? You're not being honest with yourself. When we were in Jordan, I had a similar realization to you. I make all right money, don't love a lot of the things that I do, don't really love how it looks and how it makes me feel. So I'm going to start again, and that's where this show was born. I left 3 other shows to build this with the exact same realization as you. I wanted to hopefully help people make better decisions with their life. Talk to extraordinary people who've lived incredible things, or incredible athletes who have immense discipline and focus, and how do they get there? And what can we take away and how can we be better? And that is how this show was born, in the hope that over time, of course, I hope it's really big and successful and whatever else. I'm competitive, but ultimately I want it to help people. And I think that is, for me, profound and interesting way of looking at things. I've never really looked at stuff in that way before. I think it takes a certain level of life experience and maturity to want to do something for that reason, and I think that you're saying the exact same thing. And by the way, I feel that your daughter will see you, and I think that it's the only explanation for being able to do these hard things that you do. I think
and for wanting to carry on doing them.
Yeah, there's something called thin space. Are you aware of it? I did a show for the BBC called Pilgrimage, and they taught us about it's a spiritual show. We did a pilgrimage, and we spoke to lots of vicars and priests, and we were taught about thin space, which is that place, that moment between earth and heaven. Some people might be a gust of wind on your ear, or it might be just a familiar feeling that you have. You might walk into a shop and smell something that reminds you of your daughter. You might feel like you're in thin space, but more typically it's like a sunset or something, spellbindingly beautiful that looks not of this earth, and you're in thin space and it feels incredible. And I feel that thin space when we are depleted, hungry, 30k left in a 100k race, and you're just battered, and you're on the side and you're a bit cold, and all of a sudden you feel some strange warmth around you when that would be unusual, and all of a sudden you feel strength where you didn't have it before. And my mind just goes straight to, that's Mike, picking me up, helping me out.
Why is that? Because in life we have a sensory clusterfuck of everything else going on. And a lot of the time we're worried about things that aren't really important. And sometimes when you strip it all back and make life really simple, and sometimes it's like, I just need to fucking get through these next couple of miles, you start to realise what's actually important, and you start to actually feel what you're supposed to feel in this world. And that's what I believe. I think stripping some things back and making things a lot more simple solves a lot of the answers.
Have you moved through anger? So obviously you'll never fully be over the Azalia's death, obviously, it'll always be something that you carry around with you. But I imagine you were angry to begin with. And do you still feel angry sometimes? Or have you been able to accept it a bit and use it for fuel and strength?
I think that's another incredible thing about challenges and training for these challenges. As you all know, doing the endurance things that you do, it's not like an hour in the gym, is it? Like for Ultraman, I was doing like 4 to 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it wasn't about being at pinnacle performance. It was about building the duress and the durability of your body. So you just had to fucking keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And that usually sorts out if you're angry or not. I've been in loads of situations, Spence, growing up, where there were tough guys or angry guys, You can even go as far to talk about, people who murder people and people who kill people because you think they're really angry. I feel like, give me a couple of hours with them, see if they're still angry. You start to realise how angry you really are. Some people are bullies. Some people are horrible people. Some people are nasty people. Some people choose when they can be angry and when they're not. My only thing is, my anger was that catastrophic because I understood internally how bad it would be that I decided to channel it in these challenges. And that's when I started to be able to achieve great things. And sometimes I think that's why, these challenges and pushing yourself or just training, just doing something a little bit hard every day is really good, because if you're a normal person and nothing's really happened to you and you think you're angry, just find out how angry you are. Find out how much of a burden is released or relinquished by doing something hard that day. Find out how great and peaceful and proud you can feel at the other side of it. And that comes with trauma. If you're feeling low, with depression, with anxiety, find a moment of strength to just push yourself a little bit and go through something more and understand how you feel at the other side of it. For me, I never worry about bad times now. Like I said, placing my daughter's headstone down, going through her anniversary, having a birthday. I never worry about these things anymore. It's not nice, those occasions. It hurts. But I understand through proof, through a track record, through facts on facts on facts, from years and years and years, through miles and miles and miles, pain on pain on pain, that at the other side of it is great. At the other side of it is a profound feeling of, I did that. Confidence, belief, knowledge and lessons that you can achieve something. Like, by you achieving a world record, yeah, sometimes that can be, it's like, I don't really read, yeah, I don't listen to audiobooks, I don't do any of that stuff, yeah. Yeah, I'm in a position where I'm able to educate or help or mentor people from around the world, yeah. That's because I've had some lessons that no one else in the world is ever going to have. Now, being the first and only man in the history of the world to have done something, that means I have a form of education that no one else in thousands or millions of years has ever been able to attain. That means I have conviction in what I'm able to say. And I think that's a great thing about this as well. It's learning and giving yourself the absolute tap on the back, check on the list that you are capable, you can, and you always will be able to, no matter how you feel going forward. So we have to do this stuff.
Do you ever doubt yourself?
Nah. Not at all. I mean,
neither do I really, but I love the nah.
And absolutely. I mean, look, yeah, I could safely say, Spence, right, that in terms of like a performance thing like you did, as in doing the 30 and 30 in the desert, and not so much being able to do 30 on 30 in the desert, but probably the times that you ran every single day, I could say that I'm never going to be able to do that as quick as you, purely because of the gifts that God given me. You know what I mean? If I ran, a 100-mile race with you, there is no chance, no matter how hard I trained, yeah, that I'm going to beat you a 100-mile race, yeah. However, like, if it comes to raw will and raw, rugged, rough getting through something, I will outlast anybody I come across. Fact. And that's what I have. So if you say that, Ash, you've got to do something, there is no chance that I will fail, because you would see me, with medical assistants trying to revive me before I've stopped.
I think if you did train, you probably could beat me in 100 miles or whatever. I think you're selling yourself slightly short for once. But I think that of all the people that I would least like to compete with in a go till you drop situation, you'd be up there. I think there might be a TV show for David Goggins, Hardest Geezer, you and me, if I'm honest. If anyone's listening, I drop till you die. Let's go.
I mean, do you know what? Do you know what it is? I dropped Ross Edgley in there as well.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah.
I've literally, in Ultraman, I actually was thinking of pitching something like that.
Yeah, mate, it's a solid idea.
I think you've got to chuck disciplines in there, because it's like me. I'm a natural 95K at 5'9.5", and it's like no matter what I do, I stay like this. But then, so as in running, it's going to be like, for me to keep up with you, Hardest Geezer or Goggins, I'll run distance, I'll keep going, but performance. But then you chuck me in a kayak, or let's climb, or let's certain things, cycle. It's just like, then that changes things. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's got to be over multiple kind of different kind of things to see who can outlast the storm.
Tell me about this TV show that you're making with the BBC.
Yeah, Into the Danger Zone. Really cool. I'm co-producing it. I'm presenting it. I've took over the social campaign for it. I've just really, dived in and took the reins, and it's fantastic.
It's mate.
It's a great show.
I literally was doing my usual kind of scan of Sky the other night, just taking ages to find something to watch, and saw you there, Into the Danger Zone. It's cool, man. It's again, like, you were very kind earlier when we first saw each other, to say that you were proud of me. Like, I'm proud of you. I think it's so cool, everything you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, right. I think a reason why it's proud, because it's not usual, especially in the UK, to see somebody like me with my background producing their own show and presenting it, for the BBC, and really taking charge of something like this with a great budget and stuff. So that was a really proud moment for me, that the BBC had recognised my journey, recognised the impact I had on people, and then wanted to trust me and put me in a position where I could go to some of the most dangerous places in the world.
Which is?
I went to Brazil, I went to Colombia, I went to South Africa, I went to the Philippines, I went to Marseille in Sweden. And I mean, the interesting thing
Marseille, south of France.
Ranked number 1 on Europe's 2025 most dangerous places.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, where I stayed was like, on the docks, absolutely beautiful, but literally 5 minutes is the poorest neighborhood in Europe. You know what I mean?
Is it?
It's the home of the French Connection. French Connection was the biggest heroin network in the world. Supplied 80% of America's heroin. And it's all stemmed from there. But the other thing, Spence, I was in Brazil. But just to give you an example, you're sitting there, like, number one, I went to some favelas that nobody had ever been to before, media crews. And as soon as you cross the line in that favela, you got 25 guys with AR-15s, AK-47s, grenades. And you know that there's murders here every single day. But I went into a militia favela, right? And you got a guy sitting closer than we are now with 2 revolvers. He's got no safety on. And this guy's got a serious history of murdering people and been a leader of multiple factions. And he's got his 12 a.m. at night. You've got all of these armed guards in the middle of a militia-run favela, and he's doing this with his revolvers, and he's dropping them on the floor. He's had a drink.
You sat opposite him?
I've sat closer than we are now, and they're touching my knees, right? And then you ask him the questions, and he doesn't want to really give you the answers. Like, they're doing good things, they're great people, the community love them. And then I kept pushing him to the point where one of his guards whispered in my ear in Portuguese something. I looked at my translator, and my translator was like panicking, and he said, if you ask that one more time, he's going to shoot him in the head. And you're like, okay.
Bloody hell.
So that, and it was as real as that. There was no security, because there can't be security, because if you take 2 security, they've got 100. So you're just going in there with, energy, love, open-mindedness, and trying to build a relationship and a connection to extract, some information that can hopefully, translate around the world to people and to understand people's situations, what they have to go through, be a voice for them, but also give some kind of relatability to people to understand that, maybe here in the UK, their situation is not so bad. We can be better and do more.
It sounds like pretty wild stuff, mate.
Yeah.
With what you're getting up to now, the traveling around the world, meeting gangs, experiencing danger firsthand, meeting young men who perhaps look and feel a bit lost because they haven't got that inspiration in their lives, that role model to look up to. Do you see any of your former self, in these trips?
I guess, it identified that I could have gone one way or the other for real, and it could have easily been as simple as turning left or right. It highlighted to me what that could have led to, even though I've got friends, here that have lost their lives or ended up in prison. One of the main things it did, though, was show me that in multiple countries, in multiple dangerous areas with multiple dangerous people, that a lot of us just want the same thing. And what I meant by that is, I met a lady in Marseille, for example, that her son got murdered. And after the interview, I stood up with that lady and I hugged her. And she squeezed me like that hard for about a minute, 2 minutes. And it was beautiful. It was sad, but we had a connection, pain. The next day, I went and met a contract killer. And after the interview, I stood up and opened my arms. Don't know why. I felt like it because this guy had absolutely nothing. He didn't have anything to start his life with. Never mind now, and he's got guilt and all of these things on top of that. And he hugged me, and the hug felt the same from him as it did the woman. It must have been 2 minutes. You're looking at Brazil. I met a lady that had 2 children murdered. I hugged her. She was emotional. I went to the militia boss and asked him a question, and he must have cried for the next 20 minutes. And it was, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was the first time in my life someone's asked me a real question. I never met a single person on this trip that I felt in danger of, once I'd met them. And a lot of the time, all these people wanted was to be listened to, heard, or loved. And some people in this world haven't even got that privilege. So it made me realize that I have got that privilege and also what I can do with that privilege. I also thought, how can I really, raise 2 young men in this world if I don't know to the extent what's happening in it? So it was very beneficial for that too. I think there needs to be more role models, especially in areas of poverty, deprived areas, areas that seem like they have no hope, to encourage belief. I think there needs to be people that can actually influence in those areas to help out the areas, because a lot of the time it's a systemic problem. And also I hope that, with this series, it can show that compassion with certain people goes a long way. Some of these people aren't necessarily bad people. They come from bad areas, they've been through bad situations, and they're surrounded by nothing but bad things. But them themselves, all they need is encouragement, a helping hand, and somebody that will listen to them and show them a bit of love, and it can change a lot. I know how I felt for most of my life, feeling like an outsider. I feel like I was pushed out by the people around me. So that's why I chose to have a different approach with this show. And I wasn't there to be the judge, jury, or executioner. I was there, and outside of trying to create an amazing show, first and foremost, I was there because I wanted everybody I spoke to feel better after they spoke to me than before they started. And I think I achieved that.
Brother, that's very profound stuff.
Have a positive effect on people, man. And my people will tell you this. There is no person I'll speak to on a day-to-day basis, even if I'm fucking in the middle of my food or in the middle of a phone call, how rudely they interrupt me, that I'm not like, yeah, no problem. I give them time, I give them space, and I want them to walk away better. And that's how I choose to live my life. That's how I choose to spend my days. And it always comes round full circle, you know. It doesn't matter that I don't feel good that day. It doesn't mean I have to inflict that on someone else. I use that opportunity to be able to help someone else, and then maybe I feel a little bit better on the turnaround. And that's how I live my life, man.
But honestly, I think what you're doing is amazing. I can't wait to see what you get up to next. Really looking forward to watching your shows. And congratulations with everything that you're doing. Azaylia's name lives on, as it always will. And it will continue to influence the lives of many, I'm sure. And let's see if we can do something together.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. It's been
Pleasure,
an absolute
man.
pleasure.
Nice to see you.
You take care of yourself, brother.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you want to hear more incredible conversations with extraordinary people to help unlock the potential within all of us, then please subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you're listening or watching. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next week right here on Untapped.